Okay, so we're gonna start the interview. We're here with the Professor Guzman, the teacher and Dean of the Faculty of Government here in Chile in the Universidad del Desarrollo. And we're gonna start. So given the characteristic of blockchain and the ecosystem and all the applications that provides, how do you think the implementation of this would help in the voting system? Or how could it affect this, like implementing or digitalize the elections?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for inviting me to talk about this. I have to do a disclosure first. I am not expert on this matter. I am very layman in all this stuff, and sorry if I can answer you correctly or in a very profound or deep insight of the issue. Having said that, I think, and I have to be very honest, I have an intuition that this kind of technology, we would say, it could go together with the implementation of electronic or web voting system. Yeah. In most of the country, not all, they have, mechanism where you have a bar, I don't know how to say this code, barcode, I don't know how do you say, where they introduce or they capture, each vote and have a database where they can process all the results. But in this kind of mechanism, you have a problem. You have to have some people that do this job. So to do that, you need resources. You need people that stay in a table, in a booth, where they take the job of do that. But suppose we have an electronic system or a web system. It's a matter of it's just an intuition, as I told you. Blockchain can talk better with this system, because I can vote from my home, from the supermarket, from wherever I am or stay. And so the system, as far as I understand, give the people the security that they vote for what they want to vote, and the way where the information is secure. So from this point of view, my first intuition is that this kind of technology works well with an electronic system. You know what I mean when I say an electronic? I mean internet system where the people can vote everywhere. I don't know. This is my first appraisal. In the system where we have now, I think I have more doubt, because you need people that do the job that I just described. I mean, people that take your vote, put it into the box, voting box, and etc., etc. But in a web or internet system where you need more security, maybe this kind of mechanism or technologies can work better. I don't know if I answered your question, by the way. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's okay. But do you think it would be better to implement, like more people could vote and participate, like right now? For example, like countries in Latin America, the population is not voting like a lot, so.
Well, I tell you something very interesting, and I think a person that you should interview is Miguel Angel Fernandez. He's a PhD candidate at the Boston University, and he has he just wrote, I think, a paper where he discovered that electronic mechanism or for voting give more security and increase the participation and change the results. So in this sense, you can do an analogy. In those countries where people alienated from going to the polls, yeah, because of the insecurity or the trust in the system, as far as you persuade them that with this way, yeah, they are going to be sure that they vote for what they want, and nobody's going to change, you know, the result. Maybe would increase the level of participation. In this sense, this is the reason because I tell you, and this is the reason because I suppose it could have an effect. But again, I think it's the combination of the two technologies that would make an important effect.
Yeah.
Oida,
Dale.
I do?
Yeah.
Let me. You talking about that? We had already had a conversation with Alfredo Ñoñant 2 days ago, I think, and he told us that in Chile the application of the technology was not justified for various reasons. One of which was more anthropological, since even if machines were installed in the voting places, it doesn't ensure the reliability of the process. And in addition, he told us that the German Constitutional Court back in 2008 and 2009 had declared electronic voting unconstitutional in order to declare electronic voting. I mean, as their argument is based on the fact that the technological nature of electronic voting inhibits the nature of this form of the process, as opposed of the counting of vote in front of votes before everyone's eyes. So, what's your about it? What is your opinion about it?
Well, I have a different approach or different opinion in the sense of 10 or 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe most of the people were afraid or they don't trust or doesn't trust. I have a problem with the verbs. Yeah, with the money machine. Today, everybody uses it. 10 years ago, nobody used, you know, electronic, at least in Chile, was the use of massive electronic market to buying goods, you know. Nobody were willing to, you know, to put, you know, the number of your card, and now every people are using. And so on and so forth. The same happened with the cuenta root, you know, the ones that everybody has in this country, where in the case of people who live very far from a bank or in a specific place, now they can receive the money and they stop to going, you know, to make a big queue to receive the money that they were deposited in their account. So it seems to me in the case of German, I am not familiar with this, but sometimes in regard or with regard to the issue of voting, there is a normative approach on that. I mean, people tend to say, no, the act of going to a poll to the voting place is a Republican or a sacred way of express our citizenship. I am not agree on that, because you know, 100 years ago, people, even women, even doesn't vote, and now, fortunately, they go to vote. But 100 years ago, people thought that no, women are not allowed to vote, and the same happened with many other things. So it seems to me that technology and voting are not opposed. On the contrary, they go together. By the way, the more clear example is that we process all the system not by hand, but by a machine, by a computer. So first of all, I don't believe that there are anthropological or sociological factors that inhibit the introduction of technology. By the way, all campaigns are using technology. It's the way that candidate produce information, and the same happened in the case of voting. I don't know if Hugo, if I answer your question correctly.
So do you think in a couple of years or in the future, this technology could be like implemented in the country or in the countries, like in general?
Well, it depends. If you have countries where well, this has to do with the psychology or social psychology or social or political psychology of the countries. And sometimes politicians, they are afraid of introducing new mechanisms of voting. The example of the case of electronic voting in some that is a part of the paper of Miguel Angel Fernandez shows that created more confidence in people and transparent, the real preference of the people. Well, in the case of these new technologies of blockchain, well, can be a solution in the case of to give more security to the opinion or the voting of the people. And so what is happening in the future is going to depend of how conservative, politically speaking, not politically speaking, psychologically speaking, be our politicians. Because it's so simple. If you offer people security and also transparency or something like that, people are going to be. And by the way, I think it's absurd. It's a mistake to say we are going to have this mechanism and this other mechanism. What you have to do is give the opportunity of people to use the mechanism that they want. If you want to go to the bank and make a big queue, or do it. But if I consider my time more valuable, I don't want to. I'm going to go to a special machine, money machine, and well, the same would happen with the vote.
Okay, I think the last question, and how do you think a new decentralized technology like blockchain could help in elections or could impact?
Well, always is decentralization and all these kind of technologies are good for increasing people participation. I give you an example. For instance, for many years you have a dichotomy. I give an example for my field, which is surveys. For many years, people used to use, tends to think in a dichotomy. You have field surveys where you go to the household and to ask people, what do you think about that, or whatever, or what is your best candidate to vote, etc., etc. And the other is other mechanism like internet, telephonic, etc. The problem in ones between these two is that in field, in field surveys, you can calculate, the sample error. And so you can, and as far as you have what do you say? A probability sample where you know the probability of selecting each individual, you can calculate the sample error, and the prediction is going to be better. In the case of the other technologies, you can do, because the selection is not I can't remember the word in English. Well, it's not aleatoria. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's there is a word, well, I can't remember in this moment. But for many years ago, we decided why we can have both technologies together. And so we created a panel. What is this? We go to the household, we select a sample, we know the probability of selection. It's not biased, and it's not a biased sample. We ask people if they wanted to participate in a panel, and then we ask them to give us their telephone. Most of the people at that time, they don't, people with less, at that time, most of the people were, they don't have, smartphones. So we decided to use text. So we tell them, okay, I'm going to send you a text with asking you if you wanted to participate, and then if you agree, all is free because we are going to pay the text. There are technologies that allow you to do that, and then we are going to send you the question, and then you answer in a text. Well, we have been doing that for many years, and our level of the rate of response is 86%. In a field surveys is 20%, 25%. In a telephone surveys is 5%. There are so what I wanted to tell you with this example, that as far as you create the mechanisms that facilitate the way you collect the information of the population, of the people are more willing to participate. But also people tend to be a little bit untrust, or are not very trust on new technologies, but as far as they work, people tend to use it.
Yeah, good. I don't know if you have something else to ask. Like,
I think so.
Interesting.
No, because I talk a lot.
Interesting. The last part. The last part.
Yeah.
Really,
but that will be a great idea to see how people react to implementing a new system. Yeah. That would be like really nice to do.
And I tell you something, people, the scholars and people more psychological conservative, they say, no, this is, there is a fear about the machine installed in our brain, but, and these people say, no, don't do that. But people is more pragmatical than you believe. For instance, if you use this is equal to use a remote control. It's the same. Yeah, and people make the transition from the remote control to the phone and touch one very easily. So sometimes it's our psychological barrier more than the people psychological ones. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.